Welcome back to Fantasy Baseball 360 alongside Scott White and Nando DeFino. I'm George Sedano. Time for Hot or Not, boys, and we start off R.A. Dickey. I was texting you yesterday.
Yeah, you were.
The last time we had R.A. Dickey on one of these lists, it was in the look-ahead, and I said R.A. Dickey is 3-0 against the Marlins last year, give up no earned runs, and he owned them again.
Yeah, and the one time he's had a bad start this season, I think he's really established himself. Scott said it this morning in the podcast. He's probably one of the most underrated pitchers in all of baseball.
The most underrated.
Yeah.
And in fantasy, I think.
And by the way, you can find that podcast on iTunes, of course.
That's right.
Yeah.
The thing about Dickey, owned in 54% of leagues. That's like Barry Zito territory.
Mm-hmm.
And Dickey, far better, I think. His last 24 starts last year, 2.69 ERA, 1.11 WHIP. Now, I know he's not a big strikeout guy, and usually that's who I go for, but he's got the rubber arm with the knuckleball. He so consistently pitches 7 and 8 innings that he still sets himself apart in head-to-head leagues.
Nova or Dickey?
I go Dickey, I think.
I think that'd be a tough call. I think I'd go Nova, though.
How about Burley or Dickey?
It's a little closer, but I think I'd still go Burley.
Okay.
And this isn't for Dickey hate. You're just giving me all these guys.
Okay.
That
I'm just asking.
There's no Dickey hate here.
All right.
Dickey.
Burley?
I still go Dickey.
Okay, interesting. You can tweet us, and you can tweet us at CBS Fantasy BB. And here's a tweet that involves a New York Met. Says, would you drop Nice, McCarthy, or Humber to add Irvin Santana? Philip Humber, Nice, or McCarthy for Irvin Santana. Why would you want to add Irvin Santana?
I don't think I would do that at all. I don't think I would.
I'd add Irvin Santana.
Which one would you drop?
I would drop Nice, I think.
Okay.
It's weird getting a Mets question doesn't have anything to do with Ike Davis or Lucas Duda.
I know.
Every single tweet.
I'm with you.
By law.
The next player on our hot list is Alex Liddi, third baseman for the Seattle Mariners, batting .375 thus far this season and getting starts at both first base and third base.
If you didn't know a lot about Alex Liddi, you could think he might just be one of those in case of emergency break glass kind of players. But he had a ton of power in the minor leagues, 30 home runs in Tacoma, 23 in 2009. He was their player of the year for the organization in 2009, and he could play third, second, and short. And I think that kind of versatility is almost hurting him because he doesn't have he's not like a Kyle Sager who can play just third base. You know, he hasn't found a home yet. But that 6% of CBSSports.com leagues, he's one injury away or one really good hot streak away from being a very relevant mixed league player with the kind of power bat that he has.
Yeah, he's got to start against righties is what it gets down to. Only one start against them so far this season. An obscene amount of strikeouts in the minor leagues. I do want to mention that. That's something that I think kept him off the top prospect radar, but he hit throughout the minor leagues. He's hitting now. I mean, high strikeout guys can hit. They have more obstacles, but they can do it. So definitely someone I'm intrigued in AL-only leagues.
Matt Carpenter, Alex Liddi.
I will go Carpenter.
For now, he's playing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Liddy's a good speculative pick in these deeper
that's
leagues,
fair.
though.
Alex Rios is the next player on our hot list. Alex Rios has been really hot, 529 in his last 4 games, and crazy OPS. I mean, this goes back a while. I think he's hit safely. I think it was 8 of 10 games now, so he's playing very well. 3 3-hit games in his last 4 games for Alex Rios, Scott.
And I think you have to pick him up if he's available just because of that and because of the track record and all of that. I'm not ready to go all in on him, declaring him back or anything like that, because you look at the breakdown of the hits. It's almost all singles. And part of what made Alex Rios valuable in his heyday was decent amount of power. Also, the speed was a big reason for his value. So far, only 1 out of 4 in stolen base opportunities, which means those opportunities might dry up if he's getting caught that often. So I'm still a little skeptical here, but you need to take a flyer on him.
Yeah, we're on the same exact level with this one. I would like to see a little more speed and a little more power, but he's got to get hitting first, and that's what he's doing, so maybe the rest will come.
Kadire, Rios.
Rios.
Oh, Kadire, I think, actually, yeah.
Good.
that lasted for a minute. Our little agreement.
Yeah.
Didn't last very long. I got Kadire, so I'm going with Kadire.
All right, fair enough.
He's been tearing it up.
Yeah, he's showing the power. That's
the
the main thing.
Yeah. On the not list, another White Sox, Hector Santiago. God, poor Hector. A third of an inning, 5 hits, 3 home runs, blown save in Oakland on Wednesday, and people are now starting to question whether they should even keep Hector Santiago.
It's been a bad couple days for closers, right?
Yeah.
Blown saves left and right, and Hector Santiago is the one I'm most fearful for because he was such an unknown coming into spring training, was the dark horse to win the job.
Right.
I think they could pull the plug on him pretty easily. The thing about it is who replaces him. The reason I think he won the job over Matt Thornton and Jesse Crane in the first place was because they wanted to keep them setting up. So Addison Reed, the college closer who wasn't such a dark horse coming into spring training, 0 ERA so far, I'm picking him up if I'm a Santiago owner.
Yeah, and that's what we were saying from the start, is that you could be excited that maybe in that gamble with all the Chicago closers, you pick Santiago and he won the job and he's the closer, hooray. But you pull back the curtain, his strikeout rate went down as he went up in the levels. He didn't have the greatest ERA and whip, like 3.65, 1.34 whip. Strangely enough, he was pretty effective as a starter in the minor leagues. As a reliever, he was good for first few weeks. Spring training, he was great, but maybe he just does. I don't know. Maybe some guys just aren't made to be closers.
Aceves, Santiago.
Aceves, believe it or not. I don't think Aceves is going to lose the job.
Yeah, I'll probably go with Aceves right now.
All right. Jeff Francoeur is also on the not list, and we actually talked a lot about him in that first segment. But here's some numbers to pass your way. 146, no home runs, no stolen bases, 406 OPS in his last 10 games. And briefly, if you just want to add to all the piling on we've done to Jeff Francoeur so far today.
Go ahead. Scott was the king foreshadower there.
I just think exactly what you were saying, George. Last year was kind of the exception to the rule for him. Such a free swinger that he can't sustain a high batting average for long. And there's a chance he could get back on track here, but I think there's enough skeptics in the world that he's far from undroppable right now. If you let him go and just see what happens with him off the waiver wire. But I'm not particularly optimistic.
We had seen the 2020. He had the 2020 season at the same time last year. Mm-hmm. In different seasons, different parts, he had one here and one there. The 25, the 20 here, the 18 here. He just kind of put it together for the first time last year in his career. And that's kind of what's a little tantalizing for me and why I hold out that little glimmer of hope in Jeff Francoeur, because last year he put it together and everything clicked, and it seemed like from that point the only place he could go was up.
Nothing is clicking for Clay Buckholtz, who's the last guy on the not list, an ERA of almost 9, Nando.
It's pretty bad. But you go back, you look at his minor league numbers, they're so good. 2.44 ERA, 1.00 whip. 2010, 2.33 ERA, 120 whip. Last year, even when he was injured, 3.48 ERA, 1.29 whip. Everything made Clay Buckholtz look good. So I'm banking on that. I can see why he's still in 85% of leagues is because of that reason.
Yeah, but I look at the major league track record. The 2.33 ERA a couple years ago compared to the whip that year, I think it was kind of the exception. So even at his best, Buckholtz has really been no more than pretty good. He's not the strikeout pitcher a lot of people think he is. I think he's worth at least one more start because a pretty good pitcher for the Red Sox is still a good thing. But I feel like maybe he was a little overrated coming into the season, and that's part of the reason there's so much disappointment now.
All right, we get into some more pitching, some quantitative analysis with Michael Salfino of Yahoo Sports and the Wall Street Journal next year on Fantasy Baseball 360.